And after a lot of meditation, I decided to take it upon myself for the next couple of years to cover this book right here. This is one of the most important books in the core of Western civilization. And the reason why I'm coming back to it is, the answer is a simple question, is what do people do in an age without deep-rooted instruction? About a year ago, I went and visited the Vatican and was able to see many of the church structures over there, the basilicas and whatnot, and get to see all this structure and creation that has just been around for hundreds of years. It's all dedicated really to just the words from this book and this practice and all these teachings. I couldn't help but to notice that some people dedicated so much time and so much passion and love just to one particular project. And it became really fascinating to me because what is it about this, something this simple that was able to extract so much passion and so much structure and so much love and intention? There's something really interesting about a book like this one, especially one that has been around for so long and has provided so much instruction, that I have to ask myself, sitting here today on Thanksgiving of 2024, what does a society do without deep-rooted instruction? Since the time of the building of those churches and those structures, those rituals, everything that comes along with the Judeo-Christian tradition, a lot was sort of tampered with. And when you give something so powerful to a group of people, people tend to do very people things with it, and they start to tamper with it, they start to tweak it. Even in this day and age, much of the analysis that happens of the Bible in particular seems to belong to the academics, to the theologians, the people that just spend their whole lives just immersed in the text. And I think that there's an aspect in all of these instances where it got divorced from the actual intention and the meaning behind it, which to me, this is a book that's not so much a ritualistic text of sorts, or even a historical teaching of things. It's a manual. It's a manual for how people can go live and exist. And I don't think that there's been given too much attention and analysis towards the how-to aspect of this book in particular. So what I hope to do, and this is a very, very terrifying book because there's just so much mystery and meaning that's built into each of the chapters. You could look at any psychologist or any theologian that's broken it down, and there's just layers and layers of structures and of recurring themes and circular meanings and circular references that it's really tough for just an average person like myself to be able to look at this and go and digest it. That being said, I do have experience in my life with being someone that has taught people how to perform better as an individual in their own lives, someone that has taught people how to communicate better, more effectively, and more recently teaching others and practicing how to be a more effective, pragmatic leader for this day and age. I can't think of any better set of lessons on each of those topics than in this text right here. So it's my hope that on a daily basis for the next couple of years to be able to go through every single chapter of each and every single book that this book has been put together for, and be able to break things down from a level of analysis that's directly applicable to yours and to my life, and what we need to do in order to live better lives. Because I'll go back to the start of this conversation, what is a society without deep-rooted instructions? And yes, this text has been tampered with. There's all sorts of implications with being a Christian these days, or someone that goes to church, or someone that follows one faith, or follows that faith within a different culture. Many crusades, many wars that came from the interpretation and the practice and the belief in this text. I hope to make things extremely simple with every single chapter of every single book of this particular Holy Bible. I hope to cover one aspect of human performance, one aspect of communication, and one aspect of leadership. I think in this life, no matter what we do, no matter what you do with yourself and how you decide to conduct yourself, it matters a lot that you know the story that you're on, the narrative that you're walking on. And not every narrative is necessarily good narrative. Some of them lead to greater things in the future, and some things, some stories, some narratives, they lead to tragedy. The big problem is that we don't really know which one that we're on. To the extent that we do know, we like to use analogy. We'll use stories that we've seen in recent movies or read in recent books or have seen on the news or seen what our friends go and do. But the more that we kind of separate ourselves from the original set of stories that were laid out for us that have lasted this period of time, we start to lose the interpretation on what's true, what's actually valuable, what's not true, what's not valuable, and what value means within the context of one person's entire lifetime, and maybe even to some great advantage to one person's lineage. I could live my life in a particular way where I have a good life, but I don't even know what good is if I don't have a real moral compass behind it, real instruction to tell me how things are supposed to be, what is correct, what's not correct, and done in such a way that I could pass this on to my lineage, to my children and their children, to my communities and their offspring and their lineage afterwards. It's really hard to know for sure what games we need to go play and what experiences and how we conduct ourselves and interpret things in such a way that is sustainable and that gives life to things. And I think that there's a lot of lessons in this book where a lot of things people don't really take seriously or see as rather mysterious or maybe more symbolic than it is real in experience. And we have to take some of those stories seriously. And just the same way I took that message I received to me very seriously, I'm hoping that you could take some of these messages to you very seriously. So about a little bit of my background experience, I have worked with sort of peak performance coaching as well as communication coaching as well as with leadership. I feel like that this would be my best way of adding to this volume of analysis and interpretation on this text that millions of people have done in millions of different ways over thousands of years. I hope to provide a slightly different voice, something that could better connect with the people that are reading this along with me, to an extent where maybe a couple of minutes a day we could listen and look at this together and say, what value can we go extract from this? And to the extent that it's valuable, how does that change our beliefs and our personal conduct on a day-to-day basis? I would really hope to see if we can extract something from a level of what do I do with myself to live a better life, to sustain myself a little bit better, that if I were put in a vacuum, or not in a vacuum, I was put in the world that I'm in, that if I conduct myself a certain way, that things can be better and it can be more life affirming. And then let's look at from an analysis of communication. What are some of the things that people are saying or not saying or misspeaking or things along that nature that we can go take some of those lessons and again go apply it in our day-to-day lives? And then what sort of things can we do from a leadership perspective, which is simply just that performance and communication sides just kind of amplified, being more strategic about it by saying, here, how do we get these people over here to do these things? And how do we respond when we get pushback from those people or those experiences? How do we interpret the life events that we happen, the mysterious things that happen to us? And then how do we roll with it? How do we become people that is able to take those leadership experiences and apply them directly? Because there's nothing more frustrating to me in particular when I see all these level analysis from these different, again, academics and theologians that have interpreted the hell out of this, particular set of experiences and stories, but we're missing some of the more focused applications that are supposed to go in these directions that say, okay, well, we have this book that has really at the start, really more of a pragmatic usage than it is a historical accounting of events. Why are we not using it for those reasons? And, with the twisting and the interpretations that many people have taken over the many thousands of years, it's my hope that I can apply something and be able to deliver it to you in this day and age, 2024 and onward, to say, here's what we need to do, here's how we need to go conduct ourselves so we can live better lives from a human potential and performance aspect, from a communication aspect, and arguably most importantly from a leadership aspect. Because if you're not going to pass these lessons on to someone else, then it's unfortunate that only such a few people get to listen to something like this and don't get to experience it in real time as a result of these lessons being applied directly to yours and everyone around your lives. So I look forward to this series here and having these discussions and seeing what comes of it. I hope to keep these relatively short so we can produce a lot of them very quickly. And I sincerely hope that you take some of these lessons, whether it be from the performance communication, leadership, or all of the above, and are able to find ways to apply it to your life on a daily basis. And we can go and engage with this transformation together. So I look forward to these coming videos and let the journey begin.